Hello everyone, thanks for dropping by and Happy New Year to you all. For this first video for 2021, I thought I'd revisit an old topic that I covered a few months back and the start of the MGTOW part of this channel, in that I'd visit the wedding industry to see how it's coping in this time of global pandemics and the downturn in the global economy. But before that, the Sandman did a video about the state of the marriage industry, or marriages in general, and this is the link that he had in his drop down that he talked about. As you can see, it's called The Good and Bad News About Marriage in the Time of COVID-19. It was done by an American Institute for Family Studies. I've never heard of it, not being American. And it's probably written by these two guys. Anyway, it says in the bad news, couples are stressed out. Married couples have been hit hard by a pandemic to attract the economy, throwing millions of men on the dole and forced families into lockdowns and quarantine periods, and has taken the lives of hundreds of thousands. Sad for those people who have died of it. One indication is a large minority of married Americans report that COVID has increased the stress in their marriage. This is abundantly clear in the first major survey of family dynamics since the pandemic began. And it goes on about stress, and it says, marriage is down given the lockdown, not to mention dramatic increases in unemployment and economic insecurity, which happens when there's a mass layoffs and closing of businesses and bankruptcies of businesses. It's no surprise that the American Family Survey also suggests that the marriage rate is falling and will keep falling in the near future. America's marriage rate, already at a record low, seems destined to fall further in 20 and 21. Now, I'm thinking, has MGTOW contributed to that continuing fall, or are we just too small to have any effect on the marriage industry as a whole and the mainstream economy as a whole? And it goes into about frequency of sex, etc. The good news is also surprising, encouraging news about marriage in the time of COVID. More appreciation, deeper commitment when times are tough. Men and women often turn towards family and friends for support, subsistence, and solidarity. Many husbands and wives have seen their marriages grow stronger. Well, Sandman covered that. He said that when times are tough, women's options to move on and move upwards tend to be severely limited, and there's just no reason to get rid of the husband that they're with. But Sandman also says, once this pandemic period has gone and passed into history, will we possibly see a very sharp rise in the number of divorces? Well, if we do, then all the husbands that have been divorced in the female-friendly family courts won't want to get burnt a second time, as their lives will in some cases be effectively ruined, so the marriage industry could collapse again, even further. When it goes down, less divorce. The press has been filled with breathless couples, accounts of couples struggling to navigate the breakdown with one another, failing and ending up heading towards divorce court. It says the divorce is down, and it goes into various graphs, etc. But anyway, the subject of this channel that I started when I was talking about MGTOW was to find out how MGTOW could be affecting the wedding industry, and if we are having any effect on it. Well, playing around with words, I found this. In the Wall Street Journal, a company in America called Brideside has shut down in another headache and a bad year for weddings. No mention about MGTOW, but it's just a venture capital-backed wedding apparel retailer which sold online and through showrooms in 4 cities, blames its demise on the pandemic. This was written on the 27th of November last year, and it goes on about it. Before it fades away, because I'm not subscribing to Wall Street Journal, Bezos, who owns that, has got enough money. I think it's Bezos who owns that. Anyway, that's not important. Brideside said in an email to its customers that about 2/3 of weddings cancelled this year in an uncertain 2021. So that's 2/3 of weddings gone down the pan in 1 year. Its chapter has come to an end, saying wasn't able to field inquiries. Brideside instead referred customers to more than a dozen of its dress designers. Well, the dress designers are probably going to have a tough time, because if there's no demand for dresses because weddings are going down, then they're going to have to start laying people off. Playing around with words, I found this to back up the last article. It's from Bizwoman, the business journals. It was written on 2 days later, November 30th. And it says, wedding retailer shuts down as pandemic changes. I do too, we can't. And it goes more or less the same news as the previous one. It says, though 2020 has been a devastating year in the industry, the wedding report estimates a drop by half of ceremonies in 1 year. I don't know where they get the 1.11 from. But anyway, the wedding industry already faces challenges before the onset of COVID-19, including a plummeting marriage rate in America that dropped from 9.8 per thousand to 6.5 per thousand in 2018. Now that link is red because I checked on it before I did this video, and I've reported on that before. But anyway, but there is some good news. In early 2018, an industry giant David's Bridal filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, existing after just 2 months with a new strategy. Now, I found this by playing around with words, written on December 7th. David's Bridal CEO says wedding dress demand is resilient even as COVID forces smaller celebrations. And that's one of the major stores. That could be New York. I personally have never heard of David's Bridal. Here in Warrington, we've seen some sort of effect of the marriage industry contracting. We've got 2 jewellery shops still going. They're part of the major chains, but a lot of smaller jewellery shops have closed because no one's buying engagement rings, because it's the guy who buys it. There's one bridal shop still operating here in Warrington, but I'm just in a little town in the northwest of England. So, again, I'm just wondering what effect MGTOW is having on this wedding industry and the and the mainstream industry as a whole. Are we too small a group to having any effect? As our numbers increase, we might start to have an effect, but there's never, ever, ever any word about MGTOW in the mainstream media because they probably just don't want to give us the oxygen of publicity. But as MGTOW numbers continue to increase, maybe David's Bridal chain will also go under, and if it's MGTOW which has caused it by guys not wanting to get married, then that could trigger the mainstream media to finally recognize us. Anyway, this is just the first one on this year. I might do another one on this topic if I find out more information by playing around with words on Google, but I think this video's gone on long enough. Okay, people, you know the routine. Like, dislike, comment, subscribe. It's completely up to you. So until the next one, that'll be next Monday. That's it. Bye-bye.